Hey bitches, this tutorial we're gonna replace the fixtures of this lift. Since maybe you have watched that previous tutorial which involves adding and removing floors to a PolarV2 powered lift. Now it's about replacing the fixtures in a PolarV2 lift. So are you really unsatisfied with those fixtures? We feel like that this fixtures does not fit you? No problem. Let's say if we wanted to mod this lift to a Diamond Lifts Aqua 2. First we insert the fixture pack. Clearly, it must say that it's PolarV2 because other fixtures, like, you know, for example, other fixtures such as this one, it's incompatible. Clearly, CobaltPLUS fixtures are incompatible with PolarV2. As an example, we'll try to prove you how incompatible doing that is. First, we put this in elevators. The buttons don't work. See, this is why you cannot use CobaltPLUS fixtures, no Cortex fixtures, because it would simply not work at all. As a result, we're gonna use those fixtures which are clearly powered with PolarV2 fixtures. PolarV2 controller. Now the easiest part, moving this one. As you can see, we are rotating the lift panel by 180 degrees. We drag it to this side. But it looks really off center, and the problem is, how are you gonna do this? How are you gonna fix that? That's easy. First, look. This one is the x-axis. Clearly, this one is on the x-axis. As a result, we're gonna copy the position on the x-axis and then paste it here. Now it looks better. The thing is, you can just simply remove that and move that up. You might notice that every fixture has its own quirks, and they're really different. Of course, we could remove those fixtures here. It appears that let's see, when you move this by one, you might notice this one. Yeah, let's try 0.05. It looks like 0.15 starts to use, so let's use that. Because there are only 3 floors in this elevator, we're gonna remove all of the other buttons. And duplicate this one endlessly, because it's the blank button. Then you drag it to the controls. As you can see, it did work as intended. But it's wrong, really wrong. The chain does work. The button color is wrong. And the sounds are wrong. Except for that chain. As a result, this lift has 2 chains. One which came from there, and the other came from there. So how are you gonna fix this shit? As we've explained before, this is the settings. The setup part is really important. You must copy those here, and there's a settings part. Here it's more about copy and pasting. As we're gonna focus on the signal portion. Make sure you copy that too. And ignore the voice part. Now that we copy the settings, the results are gonna be more different. The buttons now light up correctly. And now as we close the door, the elevator now works as intended. But what about the outside fixtures? The thing is, the lanterns are no longer needed because alternatively you could keep the lanterns. You could... It's all about the simplistic approach. Just remove all of the negate parts. You could remove the original indicator parts if you wish. Alternatively, you could keep negating it, like separating it. CTRL plus U. No, it's CTRL Shift U in that case. As you can see, the fix. You can alternatively remove the label and logo. The elevator would still work, but back in the old days when Technic PolarV1 was still there, it's not allowed to do that. Now the part is replacing the exterior indicator. You need to copy this position part. Let's say we're gonna use this indicator. It would match that well because, well, it would match really well because the inside indicator is 16 segmented. We delete the frame, the floor indicator, and the lantern. But wait, clearly the indicator is there, but it's not visible. How are you gonna fix that? Well, like that. Another problem that you have concerned is how offset it is. First, we're gonna drag it here. Alternatively, this one deals with the Z-axis explicitly, so you need to copy the Z-axis. CTRL plus Z to undo, then paste all the Z-axis. Now the indicator is installed. Additionally, you could just move down the indicator and... But wait, the indicator is not part of it. That's right, we need to go down to floors 1. You can hold the Alt button to select the part of a model. Makes it quite easier. Now the thing is, we're gonna talk about replacing the landing call station. You need to do that shit. Again, the same problem faces. All you need to do is do this shit, copy the Z-axis again, undo and then do that again, and there we go. It's pasted. Additionally, we're gonna move this quite closer to the door. Look. And then we're gonna drag it to the... And then we're gonna delete that, because we don't use that. Look. Like I've said, just look. Basically it falls under that approach. Now the thing is, we're gonna remove the thing is, this is the bottom part. The problem is, we're at the bottommost floor, so therefore it's quite pointless to have a down button here. So we're gonna remove it. Another problem is, there's this empty space that needs to be filled. The best thing is that there's existing parts which can be fulfilled. Paste that. Just change it there. Just move it back to the control line. Alternatively, we could just copy and paste this. And now for the final step, this call station. The thing is, this lift has a floor distance gap 11, so we're gonna have to move it by 11 studs. We can now put it in floor 2, remove the controller and lanterns as we do not need it. Additionally, remove the lantern panel. And finally, for floor 3, the same instructions apply. And the same instructions apply for removing that one and replacing it with a blank. Well, this is mainly for installing an Aqua 2, so the instructions might be slightly different for other fixtures. And now that's done, let's test this elevator. This is a Technic Polar that is now modernized to a Diamond Lift's Aqua 2. However, if you're still insisting, you can technically go there and do some changes that you desire. But we have done our work. So yeah, thanks for watching and how to mod your PolarV2 lift. And bye bitches. 15-minute tutorial.